Okay, time for another video. Today is the 28th, it's Friday, it's the last day before the weekend. And usually what happens often on Fridays and during the weekends is that price tends to trend into a opposite direction, and for the entire weekend until Sunday night, Monday morning, when we get a reversal. That means that we may actually go lower into the weekend because we have been going up from like last Friday. So there you saw that effect clearly. Like we had been dumping for the entire week, and then on Friday on 1 o'clock, 1 p.m. we reversed and then we started going into that direction until here. This is Sunday at 10 p.m. Then we saw the retracement Monday morning, and then we went up again. So I think we're likely to see a retracement into the weekend, but that's just based on the day of the week assumption. So let's first look at the USDT. So on the left, on the daily, take a look at the weekly. We do see a rejection candle, and now this one is taking quite some ground from this candle also. So we're also almost back at the start of this weekly after retesting these highs. So that kind of makes a good case for holding this level here and maybe potentially going down again. But after such a big retracement, it's been going down for the last 8 days. We are also likely somewhere to get a little bit of a relief bounce, and that would be perfectly coinciding with the weekend. It doesn't have to, but I do expect somewhere to see at least a little bit of a release bounce. For now, it doesn't really show any sign yet. So that is the daily, weekly, the macro view. Now on to the smaller time frame. Let's go to the 1 hour. So yesterday, or the day before that, I think, yeah, there was this rectangular retracement, and we were hugging the top of that rectangular. This usually means that we're likely to break out, and then we broke out, but we quickly failed to hold the level and continue the follow through. So it was quite clear that we were in a kind of a triangle consolidation. That's why I tried to draw them immediately when I see them, and I tried to go long also at this point here, but I didn't get filled again. So price dropped very hard, and now we are resting here quite some bit below that level, and it looks like we are setting up for another down move here, because we're not squeezing, we're just again seeing a very rectangular consolidation after a big down move. So yeah, probably going down a little bit more, but as I said, from the macro view, we are also likely to somewhere bottom out and see some sort of reversal. So keeping an eye on that. But for now, we expect a little bit more down. So have a look at BTC. It is just going up also, it's squaring up here. Don't really see any trades, but it's also going up very steeply on the macro here, so would also not be too long and expecting some kind of retracement soon towards the 88 level at least. Possibly, it could do something like this as well. But we'll see about that. For now, I don't see any action. So Ethereum is quite interesting because we just reached a resistance level, which is this low, this move here. So we're trading back into it, and now we had some rejection already. Now we're again back into it. So actually, it's quite strong. Although we could also be going for a rejection here, and then trade back down. And sometimes you see those moves where everybody knows that this is a very important resistance, and then you'll see price testing it and then breaking down, and then a lot of people will be shorting in this range because they think, okay, this resistance is holding and we're going to revisit these levels here. What ends up happening then is price takes some time to consolidate to get more shorts in, and then it does this, trigger all the stops, and then it does its move. That's what you see quite often, and what could also happen in this case here. So that's why it may be interesting to consider a short right now. So if I were to draw the liquidity lines, then of course these are the ones that just got triggered, and the next level would be around here. So I would be looking at something like this for a setup. But the problem is that USDT is not really aligning at this moment. So usually I would refrain from trading when that happens. Although there is a possibility that we're about to get some reversal. I would like to see that. I would like to see a signal maybe. So let's say we take this low and then we immediately go back up like this. It would be a signal that we may be reversing, or maybe some kind of slowing down or a squeezing. So it's a little bit risky to enter already, but the trade may actually work because I think the odds of Ethereum, getting this liquidity before any bounce on the USDT I think it's quite low probability. So straight is definitely worth to consider. So Solana, this is a very important resistance here. It's the only one that it's like just before this big down move, and there's nothing else left except for maybe here again. So this is a very significant one. I do think it's gonna run it actually. Like, why would it not? Um, but it's so big, this gap. I could, of course, reduce my stop a little bit, but I do think that it would be much nicer if we see something like this and then we fail to hold close back below this high here, and then we take the short like this. I think that's the best scenario. Just comparing ETH and Sol right now, just to see which one is relatively stronger. So it does feel like I'm not sure. I think they're almost comparable. Yeah. Okay, let's see XRP. Okay, XRP on the daily is looking very strong here. These very tight consolidation. This move leg is usually when it's this tight, so exactly perfect, it's gonna go up. So I'm not shorting that. Would almost long it here, but I don't really trade that pattern. But I know from my experience that this one usually does very well. So I'm gonna make a note in my journal for that pattern. So just quickly going over some altcoins. Zcash broke down this last low, and it has reclaimed it, but it's still touching this bigger support here. So it's actually also likely to test a little bit down. Maybe that's a very good trade. So the liquidity is going to be here right now, or probably somewhere here. Yeah, and there could be an argument made for this level as well. So for Zcash, the target is actually, I think the low-hanging fruit, most easy target is around here, but we could actually go a little bit deeper. I think for Zcash I would like this stop here, because we may actually first take out all the shorts and then go down. Just marginal higher high stuff, something like that. And then we just target a 1-2-1 like this. But I do have in mind also that this is going to be a triangle retracement. So I do expect it to form a low here. But usually we're gonna get at least some retracement again. So this looks like a nice trade to me. So that means that mainly, yeah, Ethereum, Solana only if it does something like this. Ethereum is already good. So if the bounce is, if we're like reversing already going into the weekend, then this trade will work. If not, it may get stopped out. It may take this level. It may, but it also may not. So I think this trade is good enough, and also Zcash is sufficient if it comes to this level around here. Alright, that's it.